The future of contemporary dance will be measured on two borders, that of the courage and that of the generosity. Are you striving to be brave and generous? Surely you think that you are courage, you are brave. But are you really? What is your idea of courage? I mean, are you brave enough to tell yourself, I am beautiful? Are you beautiful? Are you brave enough to receive a gift, your talent? Are you brave enough to accept the responsibilities inherent in this gift? Are you brave enough to accept that you need to develop this talent in the best way possible? Are you brave enough to accept that your work will have to get inside the people's heart and change them? Are you brave enough to accept that your work should improve the society in which you live? Guys, we don't need another kind of best dancer. We need the missing dancer. It's as simple as that. We don't need 2 more laps. We don't need higher jumps. We need your eyes. We need your heart. We just need you. The phrase that Vittorio Tolenghi repeated most frequently to me was, remember that people will come to see who you are, not what you do. It remains the most important lesson that I've received. I don't think it's necessary to make an effort to prove the authenticity, the poison bluntness of the body. Body doesn't lie because art cannot lie. When body is used as an artistic expression obeying to the rules of the art. So it's true, it's sincere. That's why for me the message comes before the language. I know artists whose image is totally betrayed by their work. People fall asleep during dance performances not because they are not seeing anything, but because they are not feeling something. And too often artists neglect the energy component of the body and take refuge in the complexity of language, forgetting that even the most polished language doesn't know the upgrade of kisses and tears. The moment you lose the ability to love and suffer on the stage, you lose most of all the things that belongs to the human soul. I guess that Jung was right when he say, you know all the theories, dominate all the techniques, however, to touch a human soul, you just be another human soul. Oh, it's not me. I'm not in love with dance. Dance is in love with me. I believe that dance, as art in general, is a calling. Somehow you get chosen with no particular merit. You come chosen and just. In this sense, I like to think that dance is in love with me as it's in love with each of us. Everyone. From the biggest étoile until the child begins to study in a private school tomorrow. The first time it came to me, I was about 15 years old, but I certainly wasn't ready for this love story. So much so that I was enough to not have dance school in my town to get away from this meeting. We were, shall we say, good friends for 4 or 5 years. When it came back, I was around 19 and I was ready, and it was love. My whole creative process is divided into 2 phases. First is that of the desert. The desert as a place of deep listening, as a place to end our words. So come through the silence with the absence of things. And for me, this stage of the desert is needed to escape one of the greatest evils of our time, the toxic place of our cities. So the silence for me becomes the moment of separation from things, from objects. I mean, it's not always easy, and I try to devote a long time to this, a kind of slow tempo, and taking refuge in the mountains. I let myself be inspired by the nature and try to enter into all the beauty that can come from the greatest work of art ever made, nature. The second phase is the phase opposite to the first, definitely opposite to the first, is the phase of the city. I think this second phase is important for the understanding of humanity, a topic of great importance to me. This idea of humanity is ongoing research. Luigi Verdi says that everyone needs a bit of bread, a little affection, and a place to feel at home. I think it's very true, and I believe that the effort of the personal search of these three things for me represent my greatest form of inspiration. Usually at this stage I moved into New York City, the city of excellence. In the beginning I thought that I would become schizophrenic because of this dichotomy, but over time it has become indispensable not only for my creativity but my personal life journey. Writing and reading accompany both these phases, as accompany all my life now for a few years. You should ask my dancers. I think it may establish an easy relationship, or at least that's what my wife Elisabetta tells me, and in a sense I think so, because unlike my own phase of study and preparation of the work, when I'm in the studio I'm very instinctive, and my process is one of subtraction. So I put on the table a number of things that came to my mind in the descent phase and start to chisel the wall. If I were to use an analogy, I will say that my method is closer to sculpture than to painting. And that's why, because I think the choreography is already there in the studio, so I just help it to come out. I think this doesn't put a lot of ease in most of the dancers. It also creates a sort of a bipolarity between the teaching figure and that of the choreographer. All the dancers in my company study with me, and they see the pattern teacher transform from stay calm to the choreographer that works impetuously, practically from lamb to the bull.